So on today's Academy lesson, we're going to go over the idea of running cuts. Now in the Academy, we've talked about false cuts. However, today we're going to talk about the difference between a regular false cut and a running cut, as well as show you a couple different running cuts. Now, the first time that I heard of this cut was, of course, in Expert Card Technique with John Hugard and Frederick Browie. The book has a little bit of a chapter and a couple pages dedicated to the idea of running cuts. Now, the difference between a running cut and a false cut. A false cut is simply any cut that maintains the order of the card. So in this case, we have a 3 of spades on the bottom and we have a 6 of clubs on top. If I do this right here, as you can see, it preserves the order of the cards. The 3 of spades still in the bottom, the 6 of clubs is still on top of the deck. Now that is a single false cut. A running cut is the idea of doing a continuous action, whether that's a strip, meaning one of these shuffles, or any continuing series of cuts that maintains the order of the deck. One of the more popular ones is the up the ladder false cuts that we are going to discuss in a future lesson. However, for today's particular lesson, we're going to cover 2 individual running cuts that preserve the order of the deck and have a couple subtleties that I think add a lot of value to them. Now, the first one in particular looks a little bit like this. We're able to just take the deck, and in the action of apparently cutting the deck, we have preserve the order of the entire deck. So if this was a new deck order, it would stay in new deck order even after that series of cuts. So for this, it's a very, very simple action to do. All we're going to do is we're going to pick up the deck and we're going to hold it in the Hindu shuffle position, which means we're going to hold it basically in a biddle grip, but from the short end of the deck. Now the first step is going to be to take a small portion of cards from the top of the deck into the left hand, just like this. The next step is going to do the same thing. However, we're going to take a larger chunk. The reason for that is because this larger chunk is going to be what pretty much involves the running aspect of this particular false shuffle. So here we're going to actually maintain a little bit of a break and a separation between the cards. So you might want to keep the angles for this a little bit towards your body. And we're going to drop this half on the table. So all that's happened so far is we've taken a small chunk of cards into the left hand. We've taken a bigger chunk of cards into the left hand and maintain a break between both. And this half over here is going to get dropped on the table. The next action is that we're going to grab a small chunk from the top packet right there above your break, but from the bottom of the top packet, we're going to grab that and we're going to drop that on top of the deck. And we're going to do this as many times as we want until we come up to the last either chunk or individual card from that top section. So we're just grabbing cards from the bottom and putting it on top of that section. Now, in order to finish the false cut, we're going to repeat the exact same action as before, taking a small chunk, taking a bigger chunk, holding a break, dropping this on the table, and continuing the action until we've exhausted all the cards. Now, of course, the last part and the last cards in my hand, I just simply drop on the table, and that has effectively completed this false running cut. So at speed, it just looks like you're just grabbing chunks of cards and dropping it on the table just like that. However, the deck is still preserved and all the cards are still perfectly in order, even the double facer. But that is a little bit of a false running cut from the Hindu position. Now, typically, that is the exact same mechanics of the Frank Thompson false cut. The only difference is that we are elongating the action and making it a running cut, and we're doing it from a Hindu style position. So that is the sort of Hindu Frank Thompson false cut. The next one's a very, very interesting false cut because it's based on something I saw done by Gary Roulette in his Dream of Aces routine. Now, Gary Roulette had this wonderful idea where he would swing cut the cards into the hand, drop it onto the table, and keep doing this sort of action, implying that the cards were being cut like that. Now that again is a false running cut. However, as you could see, nothing has been done to change the order of the cards. Now, if you notice, by the way, the order of the cards and you still notice that they're in order, you need help. But this is a false swing cut done from a face-up deck. So all we're going to do, we're going to hold the cards in the right hand. We're going to swing cut those cards onto the right hand, take a little bit of the cards into the left hand, turn them face down and drop them onto the table. Next, we're going to do the exact same action, repeating it until we have exhausted through the rest of the deck. Now, if you notice, it gives the illusion here that you are actually going through and mixing the cards, but nothing has happened to the actual order of the cards. So a little bit of a variation on this is you don't have to do it from a swing cut position. You can just grab piles and drop it onto the table just like this. Now the same action is obtained and the same sort of action is preserved in terms of keeping the deck in the exact same order. Now a little bit of a tip here is to actually jog the cards to the left and to the right. So for both false cuts, if you jog the cards to the left and to the right, you notice that at the end we're going to have a little bit of a separation move where we're going to be able to spread the cards like this and show the fact that they are in fact separately going into the deck in different positions. So at this point you could square the cards up just like that, and you could convey the illusion that the cards have actually been mixed, and it's almost like you've done a riffle shuffle and spread it that way. Now this works for both particular shuffles that I've talked about today. If you want to do it with the swing cut, you're just going to have to do it like this, and you're just going to jog the packets as you come to them. And when you are done, you can spread the cards and show to the spectator that you do have in fact packets going every which way into the deck. So it's a very nice way of adding a convincer to this particular false shuffle. You could even do it with the cards face up just like this. You could do it like that, and it still gives the illusion that the cards are being mixed face up all the way through the end. When you spread it, you could show that the cards are in fact getting weaved into each other, and it just adds a little bit of a convincer without adding much work on your end to the false running cut. So that is the running cut lesson. I hope you guys enjoyed that. It's one thing that I enjoy doing a lot because you could find different ways to turn normal cuts into running cuts fairly easily. So it's a creative exercise on your end if you want to take a existing cut that you already know and find a way to make it a running sort of false cut. So those are two. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I hope you guys performed that. Thank you guys for being members of the Pigcake Card and Magic Academy, and I hope to see you on the next one.